So
That's
far, so
interesting.
good, man.
Okay, we're good. We're live.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Camille. Camille, welcome. Glad to have you here. What time is it where you're at?
It's 4:30 Eastern Standard
Okay.
Time.
Same as here. This
Yeah, I'm in
here's.
Florida, baby.
Oh
Even though
man,
my accent sounds Eastern European or maybe German, I don't know.
I am thawing out in the mountains of West Virginia. So man,
There you go.
freezing, but I'm good. I'm really excited to talk all things AI building, especially since I've been reading a lot of your stuff. You've been doing some crazy things with AI, and I really relate to a lot of what you do because I come from a business background, no coding at all.
hmm
But yeah, look forward to diving in. But for anybody who doesn't know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got
Yeah,
here,
for
Substack.
sure. Yeah, my name is Kamil Banc, and I'm an AI advisor to Fortune 500 companies, and I also write about it here on Substack. Um, Joel, you're a bestseller. I'm a bestseller, so we're kind of like on the same level here. And I'm just having a blast in the last couple of days and weeks, really since December, working with Claude Code. I've been talking the ears off of my wife and everything, and I've been building products and projects and fun stuff and serious stuff. I'm even trying to infect my clients' brains now to straight dive into hackathons that I'm emceeing inside of their offices, just to experience vibe coding because I think it's such a great time right now. The tools are there where they don't necessarily mess up unless you give them bad instructions, and that's something that you can learn. So it's a really exciting time right now.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. More and more. I mean, both of our tools right now are Claude Code. Now, if there's any ChatGPT users here, I think Camille and I have both left ChatGPT a long time ago.
Yeah. By the
Pretty
way,
much all
thumbs
Claude
up to
here.
that person who was hammering that heart button the whole
Oh,
time.
I
So
know.
thank you.
I know.
We see
So
you.
so if you had to give an elevator pitch on your Substack, like, what is your focus?
Yeah, so my Substack started originally as it's called the AI Adopters Club, right? There you go. I even got stickers.
Stickers
I
and
haven't
everything,
sent them to
man.
anybody yet. But the idea behind the AI Adopters Club is to help professionals in companies to get from a place of fear that AI will take their job to a place of leverage, meaning to maybe get a promotion because of their usage of AI. So I want to build them into the AI resource, that person that I build within my clients' offices when I go and I advise clients. I usually take a handful of employees that then become these AI internal adopters that are like a resource, and then they not only they learn something and they have a great time, but they're actually fast tracking their career path, which is career paths are not really there anymore if we're honest. That's like a thing of a
More
past.
like skipping stones, just
Yeah, yeah.
really.
It's almost like these people, depending on their junior level, they kind of have to pace themselves because it's oftentimes in practice, believe it or not, it's not really politically advantageous that you're there for like a year and then you're out doing the C-suite just because of your usage of certain tools. So yeah, that's what the AI Adopters Club is. We're bridging the gap between fear of AI to really using AI to your personal and career advantage. So
That's
it's all
awesome.
about boring AI, okay? Even though I'm super excited about vibe coding, but I don't talk about a lot about video or image generation or all that type of stuff. It's more like boring AI that really moves the needle in business.
And I've noticed you don't really jump on every new news update that comes out.
Yeah,
What are you
hell no.
approaching it with? Yeah.
For two reasons. Number one, I would hate to write content that is irrelevant within a week, and it's way too much work. And so what I do is I focus more on human skills. I'm actually working on a series of newsletters now. It's going to be like like these S tier skills and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
skill ranking. So I'm going to build a skill ranking system for what skills people should learn when it comes to using AI, rather than focusing on the tools, especially in a business context. So yes, but what I've been really focusing on is more building your human API. So how well do you communicate with AI systems? because everybody here hopefully has some sort of like a domain expertise. But it's actually the case that people that are great at that job don't necessarily accelerate quickly with AI if they don't know how to talk to it, right? So that's the one
Yeah.
skill. AI reflex, or kind of like a what do you call it? Like AI
And literacy.
intuition type of thing, right? That's where you find me. And on the company scale, believe it or not, actually, I started more on the technical implementation side. And I still do that, not like coding things, but looking at systems and how technically the company could integrate AI.
Mhm.
But what I find more and more is actually that it's much more of a cultural transition, and that people and offices and management really need to embrace this on a cultural level than just like an
Yeah.
IT level or something. And that's where the big leverage is. And then one more concept that's interesting is also, um, I like to differentiate between people that do things with AI and then people that think with AI. And I'm usually trying to help them think with AI because the doing will emerge from that.
No, that makes sense. That's awesome. And just to everybody who's watching, if you have any questions or want to follow up on anything that we're saying, just please add your question on here. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here because the focus of my newsletter is it's leadership and change. So I'm focusing on you have leaders all over the world. I come from a business background, a lot of nonprofit. You have tons of leaders who just have the skills and have the desire to impact the world. They just they just don't know what opportunities are out there now. And
Hmm.
my goal is to come and help coach them and help show them this is how AI can help you, take your own skills and just reach 2, 3, 5, 10 times more by strategically leveraging the power of AI. So it's not just, especially nonprofit. It's everybody thinks it's a binary. You either love AI or hate AI. It's either gonna you hate humanity if you love AI, or you love
Hmm.
humanity and AI goes out the window. But there is a balance. There's a balanced approach that if used correctly, it really can make a difference. I wrote an article recently. I like what you said about soft skills. I called it the AI leadership triad. That in order to be successful and in the next decade, I had there was a group of students from there's a university, Duke University has a partnership with Kushan University in China. They have a future entrepreneurs group that they asked me to speak on last week. This is exactly what I spoke on. Adaptability, innovation, and creativity are the three skills that I think if you have these, you're going to be golden for the next decade. But I think fear just stops so many people. Is that have you seen any of that as you talk to CEOs, or just fear of either fear of missing out, which means they just dive in without
Yeah.
really thinking, or just fear that this is going to replace everything and then just stay away?
Um, in the leadership circle, I haven't really seen well, yes, the fear of missing out is the strongest one. But when it comes to like, um, what I see oftentimes is kind of like, yeah, we've done things like this, and we're used to things being done this way, so that's just what it is. And the more old timer you get, the more you have of that. Um, but then there's also some that are really open, and then they're usually coming from the smaller companies. I mean, smaller, it's like still a couple 100 million in revenue, but they're more, um, yeah, they're just embracing it, but you don't find it that often. And partially it's also because it's so ambiguous when it comes to their individual role and how they can use this technology. One of the reasons why ChatGPT took off is essentially because it looks like Google
Yeah,
in a way, and our brain can immediately associate something with it, what to do with it, right? So you and I, we were just talking about all the crazy things that we can do with Claude Code, and it's really a matter of, can I try that? Can we try this? Can we do that? Right? But most people, they're so busy in their day-to-day life already, especially, in business and everything. They got so many commitments. They don't have the mental bandwidth and the time just to sit down and just kind of think about thinking, right? So that's a big issue that I see.
yeah, and that is one piece that's one piece that I really want to dive into. Claude Code and the power that AI is giving now. to create. I'm somebody that I go to sleep and I can't sleep for 4 hours because I have so many ideas. I think one of my biggest challenges is sticking with a few ideas and just going all in. And for me, I mean, ChatGPT was a moment when it really hit me how life changing AI is going to be when I
Mm.
used ChatGPT 3 for the first time. And I didn't really have another moment like that until I used Claude Code. It it really blew my mind. When was that switch flip for you on, I can actually build things even though I'm not a coder or software engineer.
Well, actually, I started last year, almost exactly a year ago, a little bit more than that, is when I first published my first extension that I vibe coded. It was a
Really?
struggle, man.
A
Yeah,
year ago. Wow.
it
In
was a
AI
real.
terms, that's about a decade.
I know. I don't know how I mean, I know how I did it. That was the first time in I don't know how long that I stayed up till like 4 a.m. in the morning just because it was kinda addictive, but, even more so frustrating.
Yeah.
So much so that I almost like I was putting away, updates and all this because I knew, like, if I get into this, I'm gonna stay up till 4 a.m. again. But that was also partially due to me because I didn't know much. Like, I don't know how you do proper version control, or
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to use GitHub and all these type of things. So that was my problem. But to me, overall, I mean, aside from vibe coding, I had those little increments of things where I always had like this mind blowing moment, and I that's what kept me going in AI. The first one was obviously November 22. I was in the middle of a consulting contract, and ChatGPT comes out, and I start using it, and then all of a sudden I run circles around my other teammates, and I was like, "Holy shit!" So much so that on the next contract that was proposed, it was in Germany, Deutsche Bahn. They basically said, "You're not allowed to use AI." And I told my teammates, "Don't even ask me. I'm not even gonna consider this." Even though it was a good contract. But by that time, I was already writing like kids' books and all that. I was
Yeah.
publishing them on Amazon. That was the first thing I got into. So because I wanted to learn how these models work, so I just focused on writing kids' books. And so ChatGPT, Midjourney was a big one, and then a bunch of other things as well, 11 Labs, all these types of things. I was experimenting with it, but then it was always like iterative. I think some video models that came around, music was a big one. But again, in terms of actually getting things done, in a real life setting, nothing comes close to what Claude Code can do for you specifically with your context. If you feed it right, it's all about actually using it right.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest hurdle right now. The number one hurdle is that it's the terminal. Everybody thinks, right? Even though you don't have to use it this way, but I think it's the best way. Oh, but and one more thing on that, by the way, I always try to stay as close as possible to the foundation models, not using wrappers or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just I want to learn how I can manipulate those tools to get me to my results. And that's why, even though I am not a traditional techie or a developer, I was actually convinced last November, I think, to try out the terminal. And man, never looked back. And I hope I convinced you too. But this thing is just amazing. And it's funny because now I'm actually building a tool that's not in the terminal, but it is. I mean, it's still I'm working primarily in the terminal.
Yeah.
It's also that. Oh yeah. And the other unlock was the following. It's actually voice dictation. I always try to
Oh
use
my
voice
goodness.
dictation as quickly as possible with the
Yeah.
typical MacBook voice dictation. But then last year, I think about a year ago, I had my first sponsor for my newsletter, and that was Aqua Voice, and they are basically like Whisper Flow, and they
Yeah.
just gave me like I don't know, like a lifetime plan or something. Um, and I've been using this ever since, and I use it in Cloud Code, I use it in everything, and that really unlocked the way you think because it's almost like writing with your hand or maybe typing on a typewriter. You kind of have to think
Yeah.
with the end in mind, and that just really helps. So voice dictation was super helpful, and then Cloud Code, those two together in a terminal is just absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah, to everybody here, I think Camille and I are probably two of the biggest proponents of dictation, AI driven dictation on Substack. I I honestly rarely type. I use Whisperflow for everything. And here we had a question from Mark Harden on is Claude Code for developers mainly. So I'm not a developer, Mark, but I've launched two apps. I mean, two businesses on the past 2 3 months. One of them newsletter. It's called newslettercompass.com. We just launched it, 100% vibe coded. So there were a lot of iterations. There was a lot of work, but it's essentially an AI toolkit for Substack creators. So there are so many things, but the way I work with Cloud Code is turn on, Cloud Code. I don't use a terminal. I use a wrapper. It looks a little, at least the way my brain works. And I just say, I did this recently. I was telling Camille did this in last week's podcast that my wife wanted a certain feature in her workout app, and her workout app didn't have it, and we were paying $15 a month or something for it. So, Mark, what I did is I took screenshots of what the app looked like. I asked Claude to summarize all the features from that app. I excluded all the ones that I didn't care about, like music integration, a bunch of other stuff. And I just dumped it in Claude Code and said, build me a basic version of this app. Then over the next couple of weeks, just iterated, improved it. And now we have a free app that my wife and her friends use every day, 100% free. We have a shortcut on her phone, and it's got every single feature that she wanted. And everything was essentially me talking to the machine, sometimes uploading pictures of what I want it to look like or what I want it to mimic, and it just does it. So you have to understand GitHub and Vercel and publishing, but to me that's minimum.
But yeah, I mean, you don't really. You just have to know that it's there, and then you
Yeah,
ask yourself towards it, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's, I mean, it's mind blowing. What? So tell me a little bit about Claudia. A few of your most recent articles have been on Claudia, your chief of staff. For somebody
Actually, did
here
I
who,
write about it? I think I was just
or we have
making a
in
note.
notes. Yeah.
It's blurry because it's like all between X and everything
So
on
you have
this
people
side.
here who don't know anything about what a AI agent is or a personal AI chief of staff.
Well,
So starting from the beginning, what is Claudia?
I'll just tell you what Claudia is, and she what she's not yet. Even though on the back end, guess what's happening, right? Something is coding right now, and that's going to be Claudia with a W. Um, so I wrote this article in December, and it was basically my attempt to get business leaders into Claude Code. And Mark, by the way, Claude is not just for coding; it's
Mhm.
absolutely for working as well. I actually don't like the name, but because it puts
Yeah.
people off.
Yeah.
So what I did then was like a long prompt. It's a free article. You guys can check it out. I think it's called like eh, OS business leader, CEO OS or something like that. And what it was, it's essentially you start a Claude session in your terminal, and then you paste this long prompt, and then it will start asking you questions about your personal and your professional life, and it'll help you create like a north star, and it'll help you stay on top of it, and then basically be your accountability buddy, so to say. It builds out like a basic memory in between sessions, which is just MD files, so just basically text
Mhm.
files that the system reads when you start it up every time, and that's pretty much it. So fast forward, when was it? I think end of December or beginning of January, I had a new engagement with a new client, and I was like, you know what? I've been using this OS for personal stuff, but what if? And this what if, by the way, guys, this is what you need. This spark of
Yeah.
curiosity and
Oh yeah.
everything. So I was like, what if I would just modify, big word, right? Me laying on my leather couch, basically, literally, I have this thing where I put my laptop on and I'm just laying there. I'm just talking to it because I don't even type anymore, except for yes, confirm, yes, confirm.
Yeah.
What if I modify that file and make it more suitable for my workflows as an advisor, but also somebody who's writing newsletters and creates content? And that was not even Claudia. It was basically just an enhanced structure of MD files. Okay. And then I was like, holy shit, this thing works so well. It helped me generate agendas. uh, draft emails, and I'm talking like literally drafting emails from the context of the situation, not just write a better
Yeah,
email
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah,
me
yeah.
because, and then I want to say this, write this better. That's bullshit. Okay, you don't want to use AI for that. And so what I did then is I actually created an open source project, and that's Claudia, literally just Claudia. It's on GitHub. Maybe we can link it later somehow. I don't know what. And that came out middle or end of January. And this is basically a stronger version of what I just described, except that it has a focus on relationship management with the people that you know, your
Hmm.
commitments, your relationships with them, professional, personal, and then also how they could interrelate between each other inside of your network. Because one of my biggest problem is, Joel, for example, you and I, we talked before. I know you mentioned nonprofits, and I registered that. But then, I talked to like 50 other people a week, and I never am able to kind of connect maybe some dots
Yeah.
unless like super top of mind, right? And so the idea behind Claudia is that she's kind of like a chief of staff or executive assistant that has access to my transcripts of my calls, access to my emails, and a couple of other things in the future. And then she builds this memory on the back end, and she can intelligently make connections, make suggestions of what you have to take care of today, who committed. For example, this one guy still owes me $2,500, and she keeps reminding me of it. Hey, it's been 10 days. This guy didn't really give you a deadline. Maybe you should check in. So it's just really fascinating what these systems can do when they have context. Oh, and on top of that, now just a small technical detail. It's not a folder structure of MD files anymore. It's actually a database, lightweight,
Mhm.
well database that lives local on your computer. There's a local free model that is basically vectorizing the data. So let's say you have an email, you have a conversation with her or a transcript. She then puts that into the database and then vectorizes it so it's easy to search and make connections. I actually just updated that brain today. And yeah, and so that's basically what it is. And I'm now the next phase is trying to make this more into something that can live 24/7, and then it can see all the emails coming in, and then it can text you
Yeah.
onto Telegram and all that. I did that before, but the problem is with Claude Code, it actually is against the terms of service that if you do that on your subscription, and it's very easy, and it happened to a lot of
Really?
people that they were suspended from their Claude account because they just want humans to interact with Claude Code, the subscription. The API cost, that doesn't matter, but that's where a lot of Claude or Open Claude users were kind of,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
having problems.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's how he turned this into a crypto meme.
it's incredible. It's incredible. So one of the things that I do with I haven't gotten to the point where I develop my own Claudia, which I'm really interested in doing now. I have agents that have because I have a bunch of different businesses. So I have agents that are marketing experts on each one of the businesses. Branding, style, logo. One of the things that I think most people don't understand is how important context is when you're talking about AI. So when you just open ChatGPT and just say, "Is this like improve my email?" It's who knows what it's using to decide how to improve your email. But
Hmm.
you know, the Claudia, she knows how you think. She knows ideally, hey, this is the kind of marketing approach that I like. This was my favorite book about marketing. This is the storytelling approach that I like. And it's mind blowing what it could do with all that information. I had a client recently. It was an executive that I coached on AI implementation, and one of the things he said is, "Man, I wish I had a better project management app for my team. What we
Hmm.
have is just not working." I thought, let me just do some research and just see what we can do. And a few days ago, delivered a fully immersive, fully owned by him project management tool for his business that he owns 100%. There's no fees, there's no ongoing paying, $20 a month per user to a son or he owns it. And 2 years ago, maybe 6 months ago, I couldn't have dreamt of creating that for a business.
Yeah,
So the opportunities that it opens, they're just unbelievable.
absolutely. And I mean, that's essentially why I built this right click prompt thing. That was the first
Yeah,
extension. Now
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a
Tell me a little
microstat.
bit about that.
Yeah, so right click prompt is essentially a very, it started as a browser extension where you go into your browser, let's say you're on Claude or ChatGPT or whatever, and then you have a piece of information. For example, you're a newsletter writer,
Hmm.
and there's like a workflow that you always use the same type of prompts, and you don't want to just uh, have them spelled out every time or write them out or even talk, because those can be very dense and long prompts if you're used to this. So I wanted to have something that lives in the browser. You just use the right click context menu, and then you see the entire prompt library that you have. And so now in December, I wanted to make this something that is interesting for teams and for businesses. Because imagine you have a business, or you have maybe somebody who's writing your newsletter for you. You want to dictate on what prompts they use for maybe the tone,
Hmm.
maybe the like a style guide or something like that. I'm not talking about just putting one project on Claude and just putting it in there, because there's a lot of things that you need to just, there's like multi-level. For example, Claude doesn't really do images, right? So there's
Yeah.
like a multi-step workflow. I just documented how I make all the images on my for my newsletter, for example, right? And you see how I use different prompts for that. So it's essentially that. With prompt sharing, there's going to be a big prompt parade coming up. If anybody wants to try it out, it's in beta right now. It's free. But yeah, I also said that in December, like, you guys better start shorting all the SaaS companies,
Oh my
because
goodness. I was
I
about to
was
bring that
even
up.
then, I was a little scared to recommend to my clients to drop ChatGPT Teams, or if they didn't have a Teams account yet, I wanted to. Usually, ChatGPT is like vanilla; you can't really go wrong, right? But I was starting to say, like, "Hey guys, you know what? You can do ChatGPT, but my honest suggestion is you try Claude." And you guys, I mean, that was just, I was absolutely right about this. I think by the end of this year, a lot of people will be vibe coders to a degree, solving their own problems, whether this is
Mhm.
big or small. And if you can, I wish I was paid for this, but if you can spare $200 a month for like food, the dining, you know how expensive
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything is anyway, right? Just skip a couple of nights dining and get the $200 a month subscription to Claude. I don't care. Try to use this to the fullest. If you just don't even get to like 25%, okay, go back to like $100 a month and then use Claude Code and just go crazy with it. This time is not gonna last. Like
Yeah.
right now, it's really like the Wild West. We're trying out everything. These things will be reined in. I can guarantee you this. And there's gonna be like a cap at which point your rate of learning will be limited just because of the cap on the models and everything. I just can't see a future where everything is gonna stay and progress the way it has been so far. So yeah, I mean that's my big takeaway here. Like
No,
invest in
it's
Claude Code.
yeah. I mean, if there's one takeaway for everybody just watching is just try Cloud Code. I mean, you don't have to know how to code. There's 50 guides on here. I have a guide on Cloud Code. I think every AI substacker has some sort of guide. Just try it. It really is mind blowing. I was talking about this in one of my recent notes. I tried Cursor before. I've tried Bold, Lovable. Bad prompts are going to get you trash results. And if your prompt is too long, even if it's good, you're going to have to start over. Claude Code, even if you have a bad prompt, it's going to give you excellent results. Somehow, I mean, it really is mind blowing. That's what. So imagining, uh, we don't have a lot of questions. So I guess as we close, imagine that there's no cap that's put on these kind of things. Where do you see things heading in 6 months? What
Like I
what are the
always
right
say,
moves?
like whoever predicts the future a year in advance has absolutely no clue. But you can kind of try to go at least in the things that you can somewhat influence, and that's yourself, right? You're learning. And when I look at it from that perspective, what will happen is essentially we will get access to more and more intelligence. So the question is to us, how do we put ourselves in a position on how we can manage intelligence and more
Mhm.
intelligence that we can manage today? And how do we do this in a way that is beneficial to us, to our companies, and all these types of things, right? So those are the questions that I would focus on because honestly, I don't know where it's gonna go. Um, I told my wife a couple days ago, like, honey, I wish things would just stop right now. Like, I don't want any development. I just want to stay in this
Yeah.
Goldilocks zone right now. Um, and I just want to implement stuff because even if all development would stop today, we would still like
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, take like 10 years to implement all this stuff because there's friction in the system. And only because these tools are out there, most people don't even know what they can. I don't know half of what I can do with Claude Code, and I use it 24/7 times five. I got five terminal windows open at the same time. And
Yeah.
now with the latest Opus 4.6, you can even have teams of agents that do things.
I
And
just tried
it's
that
just
today.
absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's absolutely interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like it scares me a lot. I have a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I get excited about how much happened over the past 2 years, but then I start thinking of how much is gonna happen by the time that they're 25. It y I don't know. It's mind-blowing, but I think trying to jump on something like Cloud Code for the first time in 6 months is gonna be so much harder than jumping in now, than jumping in 6 months before, because at the rate that things are moving, the earlier that you can just jump in and just start trying things out, just seeing, how can this serve the skills that I already have? I think that's honestly the biggest thing that people can start doing.
Yeah,
Just
and the
be
thing is
exposed to it.
really one of the biggest things I find in using AI is really to understand that you're limited by the quality of the questions that you're asking.
Mhm.
And when you surround yourself with these types of tools, you'll find soon that man, it's really just a matter of you not knowing the questions to ask so that you find out the things you don't know that you don't know, so that you know the things that you don't know, and then you will know the things, right? So it's like a multi step approach, and that goes in all dimensions, right? I mean, whether this is in, I use Claude for my homeschool for the kids. I mean, just like this is a super basic example, right? My daughter is 7, my son is 4. I homeschool them and sometimes they get a little bored and they're totally on this Transformers trip right now, right? So this morning, literally this morning, I said, "Give me 3 questions for Conrad and 3 for Kinga for each, and they're supposed to be about physics
This is
and
this is during your homeschooling.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I uploaded their curriculum and everything, and so it knows about them. And so I basically say, give me 3 physics questions and 3 moral. What was it like? Something moral philosophy questions for like a 4-year-old, right? And a 7-year-old, and make them in the theme of Transformers. Right?
Huh.
Simple stuff like that. Once you learn how to remix things like this, your mind will open up. And it came up with great questions. I mean, I could have come up with half of them, but it's not about that. It's about having this help where you don't really
Yep.
need to put in the effort. You just need to direct the intelligence to do something for you.
Mhm.
Okay. And then you deliver it. Right. So it's like a lot of those little small things along the way that will help you.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is mind-blowing. There are things sometimes that my daughter thinks of that I haven't even thought of, that they're great ideas. The other night, we were going to bed, and I was about to read her a story, and she said, "How about we just ask ChatGPT or whoever." ChatGPT has, I like the voice. It makes it easy. She's like, I want to create a story where Paw Patrol saves Winnie Pooh from falling into a volcano and burn." And I mean, it did it. She loved it. The next day she had written a storybook with drawings of it, and I think that's where AI to me is a success, where your creativity grows with it, and it gives you more room to develop your own skills, your own expertise. If
Absolutely.
it's not doing that, you're using it wrong.
Yeah. Actually, I joined briefly on your last live, and I I want to propose almost a challenge here, uh, and that is basically build your own SaaS, right?
Yeah.
Because I when you were talking to the guy last time, I was in the car, multitasking as always, right? With my kids in the back. So, and I was like chiming in, and then I'm like, oh, what they're talking about is the SaaS and all that vibe coding. I bought the domain BYO, bring your own SaaS, BYO SaaS. And that's going to be like the domain for, it's empty right now, but I just kind of liked it and I bought it. But I challenge everybody just to try it out. I think Mark mentioned that there's like a million new tools coming out weekly. Yes, that's true. That's
Mhm.
why I recommend you focus on one thing, and
Yeah,
that should be right now. How do you vibe code a better life? Okay, that's all. Don't focus on the other tools. Just get Cloud Code. Forget everything else. Trust me, bro. And it's gonna be like I told you, Joel. Like 6 months from now, you'll look back and you're like, "Holy shit! I can't
yeah,
believe that I didn't do this earlier. I'm so glad that I did it." So that's really try. It's very important. Remember how I mentioned in the beginning that I would write news books for kids?
yeah.
Like this one was my first book. Um, this was like a kid's bedtime stories, and the way this came about was this was in December 22 or January 23. I was having coffee with my wife. Um, yes, Mark, don't get Replit. I said get closer to the main models. Forget all those wrappers.
Yep.
Um, so I had a bet with my wife and I said, "Hey, honey, today I'm going to write, illustrate, and publish my first book." And I did. Like 4 hours later, it was on Amazon. It was fun. It was just a proof of concept, right? Um, but what it helped me to do is to really put on those strategic blindfold horse blinders to really just narrow my focus on the tools that I need to focus on, and in order to get some results out of it. And that right now is really Claude Code. I mean, there's no second one. I mean, yeah, there is, but just for the sake
It
of
doesn't come close. It
not
doesn't come
really.
close. Yeah. Well, maybe sometime in the next few weeks we'll launch some sort of vibe coding competition for yeah,
Yeah,
your first. Well, we
trust
can
me.
chat about it.
I've been meaning to put this together, and I just can't because I'm addicted to vibe coding. It's just like so many things are happening at the same time. Um, yeah, it's just crazy.
No, that's awesome. That's a great challenge. So yeah, take that challenge. Find something that can make your life better.
Yeah,
Try
and
Cloud
just
Code.
tag Joel and me in the notes here
Yeah,
on Substack. Like, let us see what you're working on, and let's have some fun with it.
let's do it. Hey, Camille, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. You have an awesome evening.
Thank you,
Just
Joel.
enjoy your kids. Leave the phone in the office. Leave the computer shut off, and leave. I'm gonna try to do the same.
I know my kids are already making fun of me. They're like this, like talking into their hand, like I'm talking to AI, right? And they don't even know what they're saying, but they just
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, you have
all
an
right,
awesome
man.
evening. See ya.
Hey,
Thank you
you
for your
too.
time. Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.